Ontario Liberal MPP Ivan Barker is looking to crack down on so-called zombies just in time for Halloween. Baker will be tabling the Phone Down Heads Up Act later on today in hopes of making sure that pedestrians pay attention to their surroundings and not their mobile devices. Speaking to CBC News, Baker explained that he was inspired by a similar law that was adopted by Honolulu, Hawaii earlier in October 2017. The Honolulu law is intended to reduce the number of distracted pedestrians who don't pay attention to traffic while crossing the street. Repeat offenders can be charged up to $35 US for their infractions. Baker said that his primary goal isn't to charge fines, but to raise awareness. Experts tell us that if you're distracted while you're crossing the street looking down at your phone, then you're at a risk of hurting yourself and maybe hurting someone else as well, said Baker in an interview with CBC News. It's really about making sure you know what's going on around you and you're able to respond. Click the link in the description to read the rest of the story at mobilesyrup.com. A decade after Apple launched its original smartphone, the lineups are back today as the ultra-expensive iPhone X comes to the market after months of anticipation. In Canada, the smartphone with a lush screen and facial recognition technology is being listed between $1,350 and $1,570 before carrier discounts. By comparison, the iPhone 8 that's been available since September is listed at $950 or $1,170 depending on memory. Apple Canada says its stores are putting on extra staff and opening at 8 a.m. local time to handle the anticipated crowds. It won't disclose how many devices it expects to have available on the first day, although each store has some of the newest Apple smartphones available for walk-up customers. To find out more about the iPhone X release, click the link to the full story on CBC's website in the description. No, funnily enough, the US tech monster Google doesn't have to obey a Canadian court order in America, is what a judge in the ad giant's home turf California ruled this week. Google had asked a US federal district court in San Jose for an injunction banning a Canadian router maker from enforcing, in the United States at least, a Canadian court order that demanded the removal of web search results linking to counterfeit gear. Essentially, the router manufacturer based in British Columbia was rightly upset that people were peddling knockoffs of its networking devices on the internet and asked Google to remove links to copies of its routers from its search engine. Google agreed to remove the URLs in search queries made by people in Canada. However, the router manufacturer wanted the blackout rolled out globally. Google snubbed that request, so in 2014, the router manufacturer took Google to court in Canada to attempt to force them to remove the links worldwide. Curiously, the Canadian Supreme Court said not only could the router manufacturer keep its injunction against Google, but also that the injunction could be enforced worldwide in order to protect the Canadian router manufacturer's interests, meaning that Google had to start deleting the links for all of its users on the planet. In response, Google took the case to its home court in Silicon Valley, lobbying a judge to block any enforcement of the order in America on the grounds it would violate Section 230 of the U.S. Communications Decency Act, a rule that shields websites and ISPs from liability for what their users create, reasoning that having to delist content from Google would be an unnecessary infringement on free speech. The court said that it would grant the injunction to stop enforcement of the Canadian court's ruling. For the rest of the story, click the link in the description to the Register's website. Seattle-based technology giant Amazon has announced plans to bring 1,000 new jobs to BC by 2020. This will double the current number of Amazon employees in BC. Alexandre Gagnon, Amazon's vice president for Canada and Mexico, said the company will lease a new 4,500 square meter building at 402 Dunsmuir Street, its second corporate office in Vancouver. In a release, Premier John Horgan said he welcomed the move. "We will build on Amazon's plans to bring 1,000 new jobs to BC by continuing to open up access to education and skills training," he said. The announcement, made at a press conference held in downtown Vancouver, is unrelated to Amazon's plans to open up a second headquarters. To read more and learn about Amazon's plans to open a second headquarters in Canada, click the link in the description to read the full story on CBC's website. From kids to seniors, the Camrose library has tech programs to suit every age and interest. You can learn the basics, experiment with cutting-edge technology, or even write your own code. The Oculus Rift Virtual Reality Kit will be back at the library from October 30th to November 10th. You can ride a roller coaster, paint in 3D, swim with dolphins, and more. There are simulations and games for all levels of comfort and skill. From zooming on a roller coaster to relaxing in a meadow and everything in between, there's something for everyone. To reduce lines and waiting times, they've set up different age groups, as well as an all-ages session. Each simulation will be 5 minutes long and is open to those ages 7 and up. A reminder that those under the age of 12 will require adult supervision. For more information about this and other tech programs offered, click the link in the description to camrosecanadian.com.